On this week's episode, we get an update on the famous button. Tesla releases its Q1 safety report. The MCU checks have begun finding owners, and more. This is Tesla Tidbits episode number 649 for the week of April 18th, 2021. We start the show this week with an update on the saga of the FSD button that many folks are awaiting. Elon responded to Whole Mars blog on Twitter, who'd mentioned that the FSD button would arrive in cars in May. However, Elon tempered that statement, saying, quote, "Button timing of May is aspirational. Depends on how well limited beta of v9.0 goes, but I would be surprised if Y beta, aka button, is later than June. FSD subscription next month is a sure thing," end quote. We get a bit of a twofer on this one, where Elon basically says not to hold our breath for a May button release, and then also guarantees that May will see the launch of the FSD subscription service. This does seem rather odd, given the crown jewel of the service would be the actual door-to-door driving that isn't yet available to the vast majority of customers. I'll be curious to see if they release the take rate on the subscription, since not only does the feature set seem to not necessarily be worth it, but we don't even know what the pricing is. I'll keep an eye out for that announcement to let everyone know what the future of driving will cost on a monthly basis. Tidbit number 2 for this week is the latest vehicle safety report coming from Tesla. I like visiting this each quarter to see what progress they're making on the autopilot safety department. For the most recent quarter, Tesla logged one accident for every 4.19 million miles when autopilot was engaged. With autopilot equipped but not enabled, Tesla logged one accident for every 2.05 million miles driven. Lastly, for drivers with neither of those situations, they logged one accident for every 978,000 miles driven. By comparison, this is an improvement on the autopilot enabled front over last quarter, when they logged only 3.45 million miles between accidents. However, as I mentioned last quarter, this is not the quarter to compare it against due to dissimilar weather conditions. If we roll back to Q1 2020, we see that actually we've regressed from an accident for every 4.68 million miles. By comparison, NHTSA registers one accident for every 484,000 miles driven by all US drivers. Tidbit number 3 is probably not affecting anyone in this audience directly, but definitely a nugget to know, and we get it from Drive Tesla Canada. Those that are fans of the Semi will be pleased to know that reservation holders recently received an email detailing a pile of updates coming to the truck. Tesla built several new prototypes at the end of the last year, with improvements, some cosmetic and some not. The cosmetic changes are theorized to be there in order to invalidate any patent concerns that competitor Nikola Motors had with their attempt to sue Tesla for the original design. However, there were more than just cosmetics. According to the message, range and efficiency got a bump as well. While there was nothing concrete, the email seems confident that the production vehicles will exceed their original 300 and 500 mile range specs. The final interesting bit of news is more information on the megachargers that will charge these behemoths. True to their name, it looks like they will meet or exceed 1 megawatt of power. Tidbit number 4 this week is actually a tip I received directly. One of my listeners wrote to me to let me know that they have received their reimbursement for the repair of their older MCU1 center screen when it failed. This source was originally worried that the reimbursement may only be for the board portion of the repair, despite being obligated to replace the whole unit with no other choice when they had the repair done. I can happily report that they received the full amount. I can also report that when attempting to report my replacement, I somehow was deemed ineligible, despite having the same work order that my source did. I submitted for my repair as a non-Tesla refund, and gave them their own form, just so I had a shot to get a reimbursement. Mine has not yet arrived. I'll keep you posted on my situation as it progresses. Finally this week, Model 3 picks up another award, this time from Motor Trend. Motor Trend's finalists for its compact luxury sedan featured our own Model 3, in addition to entries from Infiniti, Lexus, Cadillac, Acura, BMW, Mercedes, Alfa Romeo, Volvo, Genesis, and Audi. But in the end, as it should have, the Model 3 beats them all and takes the crown for the top compact luxury sedan to buy in 2021. The blurb in the article was rather interesting, given they gave the car their top award, but then turned around and gave reasons why it wasn't as good as the competitors for half the explanation of the award. Regardless, it takes the win and gets the headlines, and that's all most folks look for on this sort of award anyhow. Congrats again to the Tesla team on adding more awards to the collection for the revolutionary Model 3. One final bit of housekeeping, as earnings for Q1 will be announced on Monday, April 26th. I'll have my usual breakdown and sound bites following the announcement, and this will indeed be the show for the week of the 25th. Any news between this show and the first show in May will be compiled for that first May show. And that will do it for this week's show. Thanks to all my patrons supporting the show at patreon.com/Tesla Tidbits. And as always, I have a special shout out to all the super patrons supporting the show at the $10 plus level. They are Ryan Scarborough, Lee Sweet, William Henry Crew III, Dorian Steve Guberman, Ralph and Cheryl Waterhouse, Todd Sullivan, Zortech LED Canada, Raymond and Deborah Malkowitz, Vicky Kirk, Ricky Johnston, Nathan Garza, Ed Patterman, Sunil Joseph, and Brad Lettner. If you have feedback for me, the best way to be heard is to tweet at Tesla Tidbits and use the hashtag AskTeslaTidbits if you'd like your question to be considered for the show. Until next week, keep it charged and hit the road.